Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you on this bright, chilly Tuesday. A very, very beautiful day. Not a cloud in the sky, not a cloud in the forecast, but chilly. Almost as if it isn't low 80s with 97% humidity, which feels really strange. But we've got two packages here. I've worked out the ergonomics in this little corner. Hopefully the sun will leave me alone for at least a little while. So this first one is skinny. So what have we got here? Okay. This is sealed, taped, and stapled closed. So maybe it's not a book. Maybe it's some sort of wild animal. I honestly don't know how I will even get this open. Try forcing it this way and see if it makes a difference. It's going to be tiny, whatever it is. Yes, it's tiny. But in this case, good things come in small packages. This is Macbeth. This is Shakespeare's Macbeth. In a new edition, looks like it's notes and edits and whatnot. This is the fourth in a series of editions of Shakespeare's most political and history-soaked plays. This Macbeth offers copious aids to understanding the play not found in any other edition. By attending to the play's medieval Scottish setting in a way that rival editors have never matched, Jan Blitz's edition richly rewards readers left unsatisfied by decodings of the play's supposed allusions to the politics of early modern England who wish to look deeper. In doing so, it opens the text for readers to encounter in new ways the play's historical, political, and psychological significance. Interesting. I wonder what that means. Well, it's got tons and tons of footnotes. That's always interesting. That is literally always interesting. So that's great. Fantastic. Okay, so a new edition of Shakespeare's Macbeth. This is by Hackett Publishing, the Focus imprint of Hackett Publishing, for you Shakespeare fans out there. And then a second package here. No reason why the mail haul has to be 50 packages. No reason why it has to go on for 40 minutes. Let's see what this next one is. It's a finished copy of something. Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. It's a World War II title, coming out in mid-November. We've already seen it, and this is the finished copy. This is by Brendan Sims and Charlie Laderman, and it's Hitler's American Gamble. Brendan Sims is a historian that I have reviewed before, I know. Let's see here. The Day of Infamy has endured in public memory since FDR announced the United States declaration of war on Japan. But this neatly packaged and axiomatically one-sided perception of the chaotic days that followed the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor obfuscates much of the turmoil experienced by both world leaders and everyday citizens in its immediate aftermath. In the United Kingdom, Churchill famously proclaimed that he had slept the sleep of the saved and the thankful, knowing that the U.S. would consequently join the war fully on the side of the Allies, but this was hardly true. FDR was keenly aware of the ambivalence of American citizens toward war in Germany, despite their fervor for retaliation against the Japanese, who were themselves uncertain that Hitler would honor his private commitment to declare war on the United States. It was at this moment, the European and Pacific theaters not yet united in conflict, that the course of the Second World War lay with Hitler. I have read the advanced copy of this. I liked it quite a bit. I think it's quite good. Serious World War II history, digging in. I believe that I have commissioned a review of this for Big Canoe News in northern Georgia, a small monthly newspaper that has a dedicated 2-page book section. Not arts, not clarinet recitals, just books. 2 glorious full-color pages. It is a big investment for a small newspaper, a print newspaper in America to make. Most of them don't. Most of them are doing the exact opposite of that. Big Canoe News gives 2 full pages to the coverage of books, and I am their books editor. And I think I have commissioned a review of this book for my November issue. I will leave a link to Big Canoe News down below. Of course, they don't paywall the paper. The electronic version is free online, but you could also subscribe. Big Canoe News, as I've shown you copies of it on this channel before, it's not like a lot of other very small newspapers. It's actually applicable. There's lots of stuff that you could read, even though you're not part of the Big Canoe community in northern Georgia. And the book section, well, there are two philosophies that you can follow, that any book section editor can follow when it comes to their book section. One is that they can make their book coverage local. Has a local author written a book about anything? Usually it's a collection of poetry. Has a local subject? Has someone written a book on the locale, on our area, something like that? And also personal columns by local people. And that is one way to do a small newspaper's arts and books coverage. The other way is to do it as if it were a smaller, more localized version of a national column. That's my way. My opinion is that there's no such thing as a local reader. And that any bookish community is going to want a broad-ranging, jam-packed book section of new releases, the type of thing that they would get from the New York Times or the Washington Post. In a very, very small way, that is exactly what I'm trying to give them. And this will be interesting. It'll be absolutely interesting to reread. Now that I have the finished copy, I've sent away the advanced copy, so now that I've got the finished copy, I will reread it. My original read-through did not do anything to dislodge my opinion that there's a lot of not mistaken thinking, but complacent thinking involved in this issue. I know that it's fashionable to say that Hitler was taking a gamble. I know that it's fashionable to say, to remind readers, that FDR got elected on the back of an extremely bipolar electorate that did not want to get involved in another world war or any European politics. There was a huge sentiment of that in the United States body politic. But the United States body politic doesn't decide foreign policy. The president does. And I know that those things are fashionable to say, but from 1938 or 39 on, there was literally no chance the United States would not enter the war on behalf of the Allies. Literally no chance. There was no chance that that would happen. None. So it wasn't a gamble. It was just lunacy, because even Hitler might not have ever been to the United States, but he had people who had been. He had upper level apparatchiks who had spent time in America and knew perfectly well what would happen if America decided to put its economy on a war footing, put its manufacturing, its warehouses and assembly lines on a war footing. There were people around Hitler. He was crazy, so it wouldn't really have mattered, but there were people around him who knew perfectly well what would happen if America geared up for war. What would happen would be that whoever America fought would lose. It's as simple as that. It's not jingoism on my part. It was just the simple numerical truth. I myself think that in 1935, 1937, 1938, even 1939, a careful assessment of the facts on the ground would have told Hitler, or a person in Hitler's position, that he couldn't win against Great Britain and the Commonwealth of Nations, that he couldn't win against the Empire. And so, even that was a gamble, but the idea that, I don't know, was it in Hitler's mind, or maybe the mind of some of his crazier apparatchiks, that the President of the United States would sit in the Oval Office and say, gee, well, what are you going to do as panzers rolled through Trafalgar Square? Did Hitler or anyone in his upper echelon actually think that was possible? That was never going to happen. My blood still boils at that horrible film footage of Hitler and his horrible, evil cronies standing there within easy sight of the Eiffel Tower. That still makes my blood boil. That would never have happened. Never. I don't know. Maybe that's just easy hindsight. But either way, I'm going to enjoy reading this again, obviously. So we have a very Steve mail haul, even though it's only 2 books. We have a heavily annotated Macbeth and the finished copy of Hitler's American Gamble. Very, very good. Very happy to have both of them. It's still early yet, as you can tell by the fact that the sun is leaving me alone. So we may have more mail. If there's more mail, there'll be another mail haul. If not, I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.